What if the world you see is not the world that truly exists? What if every opinion you hold, every conclusion you jump to, every judgment you make is nothing more than a reflection of your mind, not reality itself? The Stoics believed that perception shapes everything. Not events, not circumstances, not the actions of others, but the way we interpret them. And until you master perception, you will be trapped in a prison you cannot even see. To see beyond the surface, you must first realize that the surface lies. It whispers half-truths, distorted by emotion, ego, and habit. Your mind takes a single detail and builds an entire narrative around it, a story that feels real, but is nothing more than an illusion. If you've ever misunderstood someone's intentions or felt certain of a situation only to discover you were wrong, you've seen the cracks in perception. But the Stoic path is not about paranoia. It's about clarity. Perception begins with awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That single insight can dismantle years of reactive living. Imagine hearing bad news. Most people's minds race to the worst possible outcome. But the Stoic, trained in perception, pauses. They separate the fact from the interpretation. The fact is neutral. It is the meaning we attach to it that makes it heavy or light, devastating or manageable. You can practice this today by asking, what exactly happened and what am I adding to it? That one question can dissolve layers of unnecessary suffering. We often think we see with our eyes, but we see through our beliefs. If you believe people are selfish, you will find selfishness everywhere. If you believe the world is hostile, you will notice threats in every corner. These are filters, and they are invisible until you deliberately look for them. Epictetus compared our minds to a theater where impressions appear on stage, but we are not required to accept them as truth. The trick is learning to sit in the audience, watching thoughts and judgments come and go without rushing to agree with them. Most of the chaos in life comes not from events, but from snap judgments. A driver cuts you off, and you decide they are disrespectful. A friend forgets to call, and you decide they don't care. These quick interpretations feel natural, but they are the exact moments where perception mastery is built. The Stoics trained themselves to insert space between stimulus and response. In that space lies the power to see clearly. Without it, you are a slave to the reflexes of the mind. There is another layer to perception, the illusions created by emotion. Fear makes threats look bigger. Anger makes insults sharper. Desire makes promises sweeter than they are. The Stoics understood that emotions are not enemies, but they are dangerous guides. When you let emotion set the lens, you will never see the world as it is. You will see it as your mood dictates. That is why they practiced temperance and self-control, not to suppress feeling, but to prevent feeling from becoming fact. One powerful Stoic exercise is to imagine seeing the same situation from multiple perspectives. Picture yourself looking at a problem as a friend would see it, as a stranger would see it, as someone from another time or culture might see it. Suddenly, what felt urgent or catastrophic can seem small, even irrelevant. This ability to zoom out, to detach from the immediacy of your perspective, is the difference between being ruled by life and ruling yourself in life. We can also learn from the Stoics' ability to perceive opportunity where others see only loss. Seneca wrote that fire tests gold, adversity tests men. To an untrained mind, hardship is something to endure or escape. To the Stoic, hardship is a chance to grow stronger, to practice virtues that cannot develop in comfort. This is not naive optimism, it's strategic perception. By choosing to see a challenge as a teacher, you transform it into an ally. Another trap of perception is the obsession with appearances. We tend to value how things look over how they truly are. A job title, a social image, a lifestyle that appears perfect from the outside can mask deep emptiness. The Stoics warned against chasing shadows, reminding us that external things have no power over our inner peace unless we hand it to them. Mastering perception means looking past the glitter, asking, does this truly serve my soul or only my vanity? Perhaps the most subtle aspect of perception is how we see ourselves. Self-deception is the most dangerous illusion because it hides inside our minds. We excuse our flaws, justify our bad habits, and tell ourselves stories that make us comfortable. The Stoics recommended daily self-examination, not to shame oneself, but to strip away the lies we tell ourselves. When you can see yourself without distortion, you can navigate the world without being enslaved by ego. To see beyond the surface, you must also train yourself to notice what is not there. The Stoics called this negative visualization, imagining the absence of what you take for granted. The people in your life, the freedoms you enjoy, the health you have, all of these are temporary. By contemplating their absence, you sharpen your appreciation and weaken the fear of losing them. Suddenly, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and what once seemed trivial becomes precious. This practice shifts perception from entitlement to gratitude. You no longer see life as something owed to you, but as a gift you are constantly receiving. That perspective alone can eliminate much of the bitterness and resentment that poisons the mind. It becomes harder to be offended, harder to envy, harder to despair, because you are anchored in the reality of impermanence and the miracle of the present moment. We also must confront the role of societal influence in shaping perception. From birth, we are fed narratives: what success means, what beauty is, what is worth striving for. These collective illusions can be more powerful than personal ones because they are reinforced everywhere you look. The Stoic response is not to reject society outright, but to filter it. Accept what is useful, discard what is corrupting. Refuse to let the crowd's perception become your own without examination. Finally, perception mastery is not about detachment from life, but deeper engagement with it. When you see clearly, you can respond wisely. You are no longer pushed and pulled by every external event. Instead, you act from principle, guided by reason, not impulse. And that, to the Stoics, was true freedom, not the absence of constraint, but the power to choose your perspective no matter what the world throws at you. The mastery of perception begins to transform every part of your life when you practice it consistently. You start noticing that situations that once triggered you no longer hold the same power. The sharp words of another person don't pierce as deeply because you can now see the difference between their outburst and your interpretation of it. An unexpected challenge doesn't send you into panic because you can separate the bare facts from the emotional storm your mind tries to create. You become an observer first, a responder second. This is the Stoic way. One of the most important skills in this process is learning to slow down your perception. In a fast world, speed is worshipped, but speed blinds. You rush through events, interactions, decisions, never pausing long enough to question the lens you're looking through. The Stoics remind us to pause. A single breath before reacting can be enough to notice that you're about to make a decision based on emotion, not reality. That pause is where wisdom lives. Another layer of perception mastery is understanding impermanence. Everything you see, every situation you face will change. Nothing stays as it is. To see beyond the surface is to recognize the flow beneath it. What feels like a permanent loss may turn into an unexpected opportunity. What looks like success may lead to hidden traps. When you understand impermanence, you stop clinging so tightly to appearances, and you stop fearing their disappearance. The Stoics also practiced what we might call perceptual humility. This is the recognition that your view is not the whole truth. You may be wrong. You may be missing key information. You may be looking at something from an angle that distorts it entirely. This humility does not weaken you, it strengthens you, because it keeps your mind open. Closed perception is brittle. Open perception can adapt and grow. Consider how this plays out in relationships. Most conflicts are fueled not by facts, but by the stories we tell ourselves about what those facts mean. If someone is late, you assume they don't value your time. If they speak sharply, you assume they're angry with you. But these are just interpretations. The Stoic approach is to hold your interpretations lightly until they are tested, to ask questions, to seek understanding rather than rushing to judgment. This approach not only prevents unnecessary pain, but it also builds deeper trust and connection with others. Perception mastery also requires confronting your own biases. Every human mind has blind spots, beliefs and patterns that skew how we see the world. These can come from upbringing, culture, trauma, or personal experience. The danger is not in having biases, but in being unaware of them. The Stoic practice of journaling was a tool for exposing these distortions. Writing forces you to slow down your thinking, to examine the roots of your judgments, and to see where you may have been mistaken. The more you refine your perception, the more you realize that reality is richer and more complex than your initial impressions allow. A difficult person may be carrying invisible burdens. A setback may be clearing the way for something far better. A loss may teach you resilience that will serve you for decades. The surface often hides the truth, and the truth often hides in plain sight. Mastering perception doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you feel fully without being ruled by those feelings. You can experience grief without drowning in it, anger without being consumed by it, joy without clinging to it. This is emotional freedom. Your inner state is no longer at the mercy of what happens outside you. That is why the Stoics could remain steady in the face of disaster, betrayal, or even death. Their perception was anchored in reason, not tossed about by impulse. When you live this way, you discover an unexpected benefit: peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on perfect circumstances, but the durable peace that comes from knowing you control your mind. You begin to see beyond the noise of life, beyond the illusions of society, beyond the lies you've told yourself. What remains is clarity. And from clarity comes power. The power to live deliberately, to choose your values, to act in alignment with them no matter the conditions. The Stoics believed that life itself is a training ground for perception. Every frustration, every joy, every challenge is an opportunity to sharpen your vision. There is no finish line where you arrive at perfect perception. It is a practice, one that lasts as long as you live. And the more you practice, the more life opens itself to you in ways you could never have imagined when you were trapped by the surface view. So the next time you face a situation that stirs your emotions, stop. Ask yourself, what exactly happened? What am I adding to it? What assumptions am I making? What might I be missing? These simple questions can break the chains of reactive thinking and open the door to true understanding. The world will keep offering illusions, illusions of control, of permanence, of certainty. But you have a choice. You can chase those illusions, or you can learn to see through them. You can live as a prisoner of appearances, or you can step into the freedom of clarity. The Stoics made their choice. The question is, will you? If you found these ideas valuable, share in the comments how you challenge your perceptions. What helps you see beyond the surface? Your experience might be the spark that helps someone else break free from their illusions. And if this message has resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more insights that challenge the way you think and inspire the way you live.